see your picture on there. You're live.
Okay, I see it.
Yay! Better late than never. Welcome to the Tuesday night live show. Oh my goodness, we had trouble getting on. I have a guest today, and we will get started. Hopefully, people can find, probably gave up on us, but hopefully, people will come back. Welcome to the Tuesday night live show. From now on, the format for the Tuesday night live show will be a 1 hour show consisting of an interview and call-ins with messaging. So if you're watching, jump on in, say hello in the chat, and we will get started. Each Tuesday is going to be a different specific topic that we can discuss. And I'm still going to be having my Wednesday night regularly scheduled show. It will be the normal format. So tonight is messages and call-in, and I'm doing an interview. So we will get started. I'm going to introduce our guest in just a second. I have a couple things to jump on. So our topic tonight is kind of an interesting one, and that's why we have our guest. Our topic is racial fetishes. And while this is a very broad and actually complex topic, kind of advanced for people who are, learning about this kind of thing, if you're a white person trying to understand systemic racism, this is kind of an advanced one. But our focus isn't going to be just on any racial fetish that goes on in America. It is very specific, and our guest will explain more. It's going to be very specific, and it's called BDSM. And I hate to disappoint people, but we're not going to get too sexually explicit tonight. We want to focus on the racial side of this. In other words, the racism part of it, because that's what I do. All sexual contact tonight, of course, is absolutely consensual, because anything else would imply a crime is being committed, and we don't do crime shows, well, at least not yet. If you're here, say hello. Jump in and say hi. I'd love to see that you're here. The focus of tonight's show is to support the voices of people in historically marginalized groups, and to use this format to educate white people about the history, the social, emotional implications of this kind of thing, and implicit racism of these fetishes, and what they propagate. They propagate racism. But there's a lot to it. There's really a lot to it. So, as always, my live shows are geared towards educating white America about our real racial history and how it impacts modern day social issues. Because if you don't know a real racial history, then your opinion on what's going on today, no offense, but it's really an uneducated, ignorant one, because you have an ahistoric opinion. According to most scholars, while on the surface racial fetishes may seem harmless, in actuality they propagate racial stereotypes and can cause real harm to real people in historically marginalized groups. They're very complicated, and I'm not an expert in that, and that is why we have our guest. So tonight is simply an introduction with an interview to start a conversation that's actually pretty rarely spoken about in society today, and especially not spoken about by white folks, at least not openly. So I have a disclaimer, of course. If you're watching right now, please say hello, don't be shy. I'm not an expert, that's not my disclaimer. As always, I'm here to interview our guest and to learn. The opinions expressed in this show are not necessarily my own, but are meant to help support and express the voices of people in the community that are historically silenced. So as I'm blabbing along here, additionally, as a white person, I want to make it crystal clear, I don't have the right to judge, advise, chastise, praise, or challenge a black person or African American person who chooses to knowingly or unknowingly participate in this type of fetishism. My goal is to open up conversation and introduce the topic to white America in a responsible and supportive way. So before the interview and before I introduce Mr. Richard, I want to show kind of an interesting 2-minute video. And this is a short video that speaks to the patterns of dating habits online in today's society. And just to reiterate this, I said it earlier, but I don't know if people caught it. I still do my Wednesday Real Talk live shows, and we'll be starting tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, and it'll just be the usual format. So please make sure to join us tomorrow. My Tuesday shows are a different format. They're going to be a quick 1 hour with an interview and call-in as well as messaging. So the research in this video I'm about to show is really kind of interesting because it's a huge sample using 2 popular online dating sites. So let me get that started and tell me what you think. It's a real fast video. And Mr. Richard, I apologize for the delay. We will be interviewing you momentarily. All right, so let me get this going here. Boop. And just found this to be
Researchers analyzed 2.4 million heterosexual interactions on the app Are You Interested? Users were classified by their gender and race. Men responded 3 times more often than women. The study revealed that men replied most to Asian women, with the exception of Asian men, who responded most to Latino women. All women, except Black women, responded most to advances from white men. White women were twice as likely to respond to white men than Black men, but white men preferred most other races over white women. Black men responded most to women of different races, even though Black women were 3 times more likely to reply. A similar OkCupid study also found that Black women are the least replied to group. 1 in 2.9 men respond. However, they are the most likely to respond, a quarter more often than other women. White women, on the other hand, were very selective, even though they were the second least popular female group. White men respond 20% less often than other men, even though they receive the most replies, 1 in 3.4 women. Overall, Latino men and women were in the middle and received average response rates. South Asian men have the lowest response rate, only 1 in 4.8 women. Second least popular were Black men, while third least were East Asians. However, East Asian men received nearly equal responses as white men from Middle Eastern women. Middle Eastern women are overwhelmingly the most popular group. 1 in 2 men write back. Middle Eastern men are the least picky, responding 49.7% of the time. The most selective demographics were South and East Asian women, who responded only 25% of the time. Overall, users tended to date within their own race, with the exception of Asian women. However, users who were approached by someone from a different race logged 115% more interracial exchanges than those who weren't.
Okay, so it's a little bit interesting. A little bit interesting. If that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. If you're watching, we're doing a panel with a guest who I'm going to introduce in just a minute on racial fetishism. Not just any racial fetishism, but a very specific one, which my guest will talk about. So that sounded complicated. That sounded really complicated. So there are a lot of areas of racial fetishizing to explore, but tonight's interview will be about one very specific area. And while there are many types of racial fetishes, like people who say, I only date a certain race, or I will only have sex with a certain race. What we'll be discussing tonight is BDSM, very specifically geared towards understanding the racial component of it. It's very specific, very interesting. It's the first kind of show I've done of this nature. So jump on in and let me know what you think, or say hello. So at first glance, racial fetishism seems like a compliment. If you don't know, much about it, I mean, it's a compliment, right? But according, and this is according to a lot of people who have experienced this type of thing and participated. I'm not here to tell anyone what is and isn't a fetish, to make anyone feel uncomfortable or bad about themselves. In general terms, a fetish is a must-have to fulfill a person's sexual fantasy. So it's a very specific thing. I can't tell you if you have one. I am not an expert in any way. I'm here to learn just like you. Racial fetishism involves romantically or sexually fetishizing a person or culture belonging to a very specific race or ethnic group. So I want to introduce Richard. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. He is a Black male who has experience within the BDSM community. So hello, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
And hopefully people will get a little less shy in a little while.
Sure.
Richard's extremely open, and so I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay,
First of all,
get on in.
Okay, thanks. First of all, can you tell us what is BDSM? Anyway, like what is it? Okay, we're going to start with basics. Okay.
It is bondage, discipline, dominance, and submission. Okay. Now, that sounded like a whole lot, okay? Personally, I have to kind of pick and choose what part I'm going to play because it's role play.
Okay, well, let me ask you, wait a second. So what does BDSM have to do with race?
Well, okay. What does it have to do with race?
Yeah.
Well, this thing goes back 400 years. 400 years ago, white people owned Black people. And because they owned you, they could do what they wanted to do with you. So they would fetishize you for something, whether you were strong, beautiful. For women, they had beautiful, beautiful butts. They fetishized those butts they wanted, and they used those women. And it got to the point to where the wives of the master would call the Black women Jezebels. So this goes way back. And I was listening to your dating thing, and I think the spirit of sexuality in this country is Black, and if women were looking for someone to have sex with, if they would ask that question, it would have probably been more. But if they asked somebody who they wanted to live with and have a child with and be provided for, would be white men. So that was a little bit skewed, that dating thing.
Are you talking about
and I thought about that.
The power differential, because of the power differential of our society
Absolutely.
being based on white supremacy and
absolutely. But when it comes to sexuality, Black males are going to be up on a higher percentage of candidates going for that if it was sexual. That's my opinion on that dating film. Okay,
because I know a lot of fetishism is, or all of it, according to many experts, is based on just racial stereotypes. It's racism.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Racism.
It goes back that far. So when I say 400 years ago, it goes all the way back to slavery.
Yeah, and actually probably further than that, but we're talking about in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in America. Right. So I heard that it's based on stereotypes, and do you know what are some of the classic stereotypes? I think we all probably know them, but this is for people who know nothing about this.
Right. We have our classic stereotypes. And in the BDSM community, we call it the bull. And the bull has stamina. The bull has a nice size penis, and he can satisfy the whole group. But most of this is dominance. Okay, so the bull takes the bull is in charge of the entire event. And so yeah.
So
Go ahead.
it just hit me. I'm sorry to interrupt. Isn't there like a very, very cruel and dangerous stereotype of black people being overly, it's like they've othered them. We white folks have othered them culturally and made them out to be overly, it's like this ridiculous but very dangerous stereotype.
Well,
Right?
we were in chains, and we were kind of treated like a beast. And so here we are, this beast breaking out of chains, and now we're the masters now, and we're telling them what to do, which is the white man. Okay. So.
Okay. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
that's
this is a very
dominant.
specific element of fetish. I mean, this is not just a typical fetish. This is a very, I guess, a subcategory of it. Is that kind of? Would you say BDSM is like a subcategory? I'm assuming.
Well, BDSM is bondage and discipline. You have a dom, you have a submissive, and our job is to humiliate the submissive, and so that will probably be with the wife. And so there's some role play here. Now nobody gets hurt, so don't think that we're going in there for to harm one another. But there's some eroticism when a black man takes over the room, because they're there for me. I'm not. So that's why they come together, because I'm the preferred black male.
Okay,
And,
I have
right.
more questions. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna back it up a little. Sorry, Richard. I've heard of people having special racial preferences, who they like to date. Is this BDSM? That's just a different.
Well, it's part of it.
It's different.
Right. It's part of that. It's part of that fantasy of being controlled by the former slave. Now I'm the master.
But if you just prefer a certain race, whereas that is considered by experts, I was doing some reading, to be
Right.
extremely racist.
Well, some of the wives will only have relationships with black men, period, and not their husband.
So explain more specifically, and I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I know you're really open. What specifically is BDSM when it comes to racial fetishism? There's three people?
Well, usually there's three people.
It's
usually it's a
consensual.
couple. Right. So it's mostly a threesome. But one of those persons are not participating because that's the one that's being humiliated. Okay, that's the submissive. And the majority of times it's the man or the husband. And the wife and the dom humiliate the husband. So there might be an event where the husband can only wear women's clothes if he comes into the room. So, okay. But that's, again, here's a person in his daily life that doesn't have the anxieties and the things that go on in his life that black people have in their lives. So they have to get this artificial dominance, someone telling them no, especially a black man telling them no. For some reason, it creates an eroticism.
So, man, Richard, are they doing this for their wives, or are they getting something out of it? Or maybe I know you can't speak for everybody, but I mean, and anyone who's listening, if you have a question, jump right in. I mean, we got someone who's gonna.
The groups that I work with, they get something out of it, and they're professional people, so they like their anonymity. But then they also like to state, for them, it's spicing up their lives. Even if it's fetishizing, for them, it's spicing up their lives. So that's the fetishizing right there. So we are here, we are black men who they fetishize off our bodies. As you can see, our football players, basketball players, we are the masculine in this country. And so when it comes to sexuality, we are the masculine, and white men emasculated themselves, even in these rooms.
They choose to do it?
They choose to do it. So I have a joke about that.
Okay.
I'm really not in the game anymore, but
So you don't do this anymore. This is something like from your past.
no, I don't do it anymore. But if I had to, next time I'm going to take a copy of Martin Luther King's I Had a Dream to humiliate the husband, because that would be the ultimate humiliation for all the humiliations that Black people suffer because of folks fetishizing.
Are you saying you'd want him to be watching you with his wife and
Absolutely.
reading a book?
Absolutely. And he's going to read it. He's going to read it out loud. And
Okay. This is really
yes,
different for me. So I'm trying to
absolutely.
like.
It's part of the punishment, okay? Because it would be punishment.
So
But it would be something that he'll never forget, and his wife or his partner.
So there are actually communities who do this? Can you?
Oh yeah, there's large communities. I'm not in one of the biggest communities. I'm in a small group, because my group goes way back. So there's a small group of people who are now friends of mine. So we've come to that point where we actually built a relationship within that community.
Okay, because now I'm a little confused, and I'm going to ask you questions you might not have the answer to. But my question is, you know, when I read about fetishes, I mean, obviously, I'm a layperson. I'm not an expert. I'm here to learn. I got this very strong feel that people who truly have fetishes, racial fetishes specifically, it's not as much about the actual getting to know the person as what you represent, because it's racist. I mean, all the literature I read is over and over again, but you get to know the people. So now I'm
well,
like,
usually
they get to know you?
Right, they actually get to know you. It depends if you are consistent with the same people. Some folks are inconsistent. Some people make a living doing this. Okay,
You
I
get
mean,
paid?
some men get paid, and then some folks don't get paid. They do it because of the risk, because of the excitement involved, and an opportunity to dominate white men. So, and I think I got a risk factor there somewhere.
Okay, so this is consensual, and there are
Yeah.
communities that do this. Is it mostly online that you hook up with people like this, or
Now is mostly online, so you'll see a lot of, you can meet up with almost anyone online today.
and it's
Okay, just to make sure that if they say they're a woman, they're a woman, and they're a man, that they're a man. So,
and it's
right.
not in the mainstream all the way yet, right? I mean,
Yes
like
and
you're in the
no.
dark. I can't really
There's some elaborate groups, but then you have they call themselves, they're all sorts of things, from swingers to just S&M, and so there's a lot of different groups out there doing a bunch of different things, and especially now. So it's a real interesting time.
The racial part is a whole nother
Right.
genre. I don't know what you call it even. Yeah.
Well, we call it that, but this is something that's been going on for hundreds of years. It's always been kind of closed door. There's history throughout Louisiana. There's history throughout the South. Men got hung for having sex with white women.
Well, they got hung for even somebody lying and saying they did it,
Right.
and they didn't. I mean, it's
castrated. Emmett Till was fetishized. He whistled at me, okay, and the black boy, and they killed him.
He's a child too.
This spirit of this thing has been going, absolutely,
who
has
did
been
nothing
going
other than exist
in this country, and it just hasn't stopped. It still continues today. It just looks different, but it's still a form of slavery. I owned the black man for a moment.
Okay, so I have a hard question for you, and I just got to ask.
Go ahead.
And I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I bet a lot of people want to know. You're a black man. Why would you do this? Like, is it not, number one, perpetuating the stereotype? Number two, it's like self-abuse almost. Like, I don't know. Please explain. And I'm not trying to judge you.
Okay,
Tell
well,
tell me.
thank you for not judging. I do
Try.
it because I want to do it. You know, I'm not looking, I'm not making, I'm not an activist in this, but I am an activist in this.
Teach me.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is that I get some personal satisfaction from dominating white people.
Can you elaborate a little bit, or?
Well, I have a real mistrust for white men, always have, and so therefore I get an opportunity to abuse them for 2 or 3 hours, and it seems to give me some gratification. I know it's on that's on creep level, but
No,
it
no. I
does give
mean,
me some gratification
the
because
show's called Real Talk for a reason.
here's a man or a group or a couple have been for hundreds of years in this country abusing blacks and brown people throughout the globe, because Europe is even more uh, extreme when it comes to the BDSM. I mean, they are professional there.
Did you say Europe?
Europe, the Europeans
Oh, okay.
are almost professional in it, and for some reason, black bodies are preferred in these groups. At least one black body in the group, you know, so or two black bodies, but black bodies are preferred because there's some exoticness about that, but there's also control. Even though it's role play, there's still a level of control. Okay, and that's the slavery part. So we're enslaving ourselves in this, but yet there's some level of satisfaction as well.
It's complicated, huh? It sounds really complicated.
It can be, yes. It can be.
In the sense I meant, like, psychologically.
Well, I think so, because it's the whole thing is a psychological game.
But it's like a game because it's planned out. I mean,
absolutely.
Like,
it's planned out. It's planned out by the couple most of the time.
And then you, as the person, well, like, what would you call yourself?
I can go on automatic, and I go to work, and I put people in their place. I put people in places, and those who do well get praised. Those who do bad get punished, and I'm in charge of that.
It's like a power trip, kind of, or a little bit. Is it?
Yes.
A little bit like a power trip. I mean,
it's power, right? It's all about power. Yeah.
But they're kind of letting you. But yeah, I don't personally understand it because I'm not, like, in it. So, but it's very.
Well, you know, we're all kind of in it. We just don't know that we're in it. You know, when we have interactions with people, and you might say the littlest things. Oh, you know, I like your hair. This could be fetishizing. So you're always kind of in it. You know, if you're not aware, if you don't have a black friend, you know, if you don't have a black friend, it's really difficult for anyone to be aware, because you don't have anyone you talk to who's black.
So are you saying, let me just clarify, you're saying you think every white person has fetishes, or that because we live in a society, you know, that's built on white supremacy, absolutely, that the relationship is kind of in the air? Is that
absolutely
which one? Both?
It's almost within our DNA. This is something that has been going on for so long. We've been hearing and looking at it for so long as they cut our locks from our hair. You know, we watched this.
Yeah, well, I mean, white people historically have abused the bodies.
Right, our bodies are too sexual when we dance,
and tried to control the bodies of
absolutely
black people. So it's kind of
all the time, all the time.
I mean, historically, and this seems sort of like a closeted version of, I don't know, but yet you're kind of in control. It's very confusing to me, but
but I'm not embarrassed or ashamed or anything like that. I don't have any solid Christian belief to where, you know, where I feel embarrassed or ashamed.
Right.
You know,
right.
people can be cruel if they want, but they can also be very dishonest. So there's a lot of dishonesty. Folks will not tell you.
You mean people who judge you are like, I never, and you're like, maybe you should try it sometime. Like, aberrant what's considered aberrant behaviors. And this is like kind of multifaceted in that there are probably people who do this kind of thing and they don't have a racial component. Everybody's white or everybody's one race, or, but then this is race specific. They want a
Race
black
specific,
man.
primarily black and white. You won't see blacks and Asians, or you'll see blacks and Latinos, because black and brown people are Latino. But you will not see Asians, or it'll always be black and white.
So it's
primarily
a dynamic and as you could hear from the video, there's a lot of I'm gonna say, I don't know how to put it, but the video that we played had, statistically speaking, from that big of a crowd of research, I mean, it's thousands of people.
Right, but
Very
you know
telling
what? You'll never see a black man on The Bachelor, okay?
Confusing.
So when you hear information like that, don't always buy it, all right? If they would say sexuality, I tell you, would have gone to the black male. If they say economics, who can pay for your college, they would probably go to the white male, because white men have that opportunity. These are the privileged class. That's where you want to go, to the privileged class. White men think they can have anybody they want because they are the colonialists. These are our conquerors. Okay, so they think they can have any woman they want because they have the financial power, but they just don't have the body. They don't have the masculinity, but they do have the privilege of.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. Do you mind if I jump?
Yeah, because I'll start ranting if you don't stop.
No. You're. I mean, I appreciate you being really honest. I got to ask this, and I have other questions that should come first, but what do black folks, other black people, and it's obviously they're not a monolith, so you can't answer for anybody, in general, like, what do they say about this kind of thing? Do they feel like, what the hell are you doing? You're perpetuating. Oh, we got a call. Just a minute, 1 second. Hi, welcome to the call-in. Do you have a question?
Hey!
Hi.
I've said it several times. I'm not getting your live. So.
Oh, you're not? Well, you are now. I don't know. I apologize for that. So you called in for a technical problems. Well, we're smack right in the middle of the interview.
Okay, yeah. No, I haven't. I haven't.
Do you have any
I don't know why. Yeah.
Questions or comments? Or for Mr. Richards?
Yeah. Yes, man. So we're talking about what's the topic again?
Racial fetishes, having specifically to do with BDSM, but racial. Very specific.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that's a tricky topic, and I have to think about that when I call you back, because I have to choose the word wisely. I don't ask anything, and let me sound like a freak or.
Well, I'll hang up on you. Don't worry.
I'll
hang up on you.
That's a hell of a topic, huh?
Well, I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. I was teasing. I said I'll hang up on you if you stay. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm appreciative that you called in, and I think people are afraid to talk about this. And if you are a white person listening, you, not you personally, but proverbial. You need to learn about our real racial history and where these things come from. And there's quite a history. And many people, especially in academia, consider these type fetishisms as absolute, like full-blown racism. And so...
Yeah, what I'm going to do is listen to you and, read the comments in the comments section and everything.
Okay,
and call you right back with my perspective on BDSM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, definitely.
All right, cool.
All right, well, thanks. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Man. All right.
Thank you. Bye. It was kind of a tech call, kind of a thank you. I'm glad he called in. So, are you there still? So, people are not commenting unless I'm missing it, and I don't think I'm missing it. I think I will scooch down. Maybe I am missing it, but I don't think so. I think people are, I don't know if that's a United States thing, but I have yet to have a live show where I had no comments. And I'm going to say we got no comments. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe people are not comfortable with the topic. I don't really know much about the topic, but I do know that it is a huge topic, fetishes in general, because I think it really impacts the people who are hurt by it. Now, I'm not saying everybody's hurt by it. I can't speak for everybody, but if you are a white person and you don't know about this, you know what? If you're going to do this, it's a lifestyle. If you're going to learn about anti-racism, if you're going to learn about our real racial history, we're going to keep it real. So welcome to, not everything's going to be beautiful and pretty and lovely. This is, again, if you listen to the beginning of this, where I did all my disclaimers, I'm here to learn. I'm not here to judge, but I do have lots of questions. So if nobody else has questions, I do. Is that okay? Yes?
Right.
Okay, so this whole thing's planned out ahead of time, kind of. So it is kind of an act, right? I mean,
right. Location, the things that we're going to be using, any kind of tools, I don't like tying knots. I'm not into all that, but just things that have keys to them will be fine. So those kind of things.
Oh, okay. So it's whatever you guys decide, and it's consensual, obviously, and determined ahead of time.
Kind of, yeah.
So what I was just about to ask before our caller called in, I'm going to be blunt. What if the black community did know you do this? What would they say? I mean, would a lot of us know what the actual?
Well, black folks have come from the Christian background. They come from that. So of course, if you go into a black church today, it's pretty conservative. They're kind of anti-gay, anti-sex, period. But
I guess, yeah.
The black community, we have to find creative ways to make money and to make a living. So when we have black women who dance on stage for money, when we have black women that might be into pornography, game like that, we don't disrespect these women. They're feeding their families, they're taking care of themselves, and so there's a different lens.
But are you looked at different today? Are you looked at differently or like that? Like, oh, well, right.
There's a different lens on sexuality in the black community, so there's looking through that lens and people doing their thing, is not so bad. But if you look at it in a Christian way, because what did we inherit from slavery if not Christianity?
Christianity?
So that's what we inherited. And with that, it's still being used against us in a way to where if you don't conform, you will probably burn in hell for your sins.
I think.
And I don't think I'm going to burn in hell for my sins because nobody ever told me that there was fire or any of those things.
Let me jump in and ask you more specifically. I'm going to put you're in the hot seat. I'm pretty blunt. If you don't mind. And it's a little weird as a white woman because I honestly, I'm not judging you in any way, shape, or form. I'm trying to get information to understand this. Yeah. As we said earlier, I think it would be hard to watch this show in small bits. If you watch from the beginning, you'll understand what we're getting at and what we're doing. If you just watch a teeny part and jump on and ask questions and comment, you're not going to know what we're really talking about. So it's really important to watch from the beginning. But I'm just wondering, when you talk about women having the right to earn money sexually as pole dancers, or I don't know about the racist aspect. My question is, you're fulfilling someone's racist stereotype. You're perpetuating racism. Are you not? Or and so what would black people say, and what would white people say? Like, oh my God, don't do it, or it's not our business. That's the thing. It's not white people's freaking business. It's out of their lane. But I'm wondering, what do white people think about it?
My thing is like this. again, I want to take it back to slavery. We have been making fools of white people since then. And we still find ourselves making fools of white people today. And it's almost seemed like there's a long line of men and women who've made fools out of white people and their extreme behaviors. And sometimes I feel like that. I'm like, I have to step out my door and have anxiety and always be feeling something. The white folks that I deal with have to artificially get that adrenaline rush or that feeling. I get it every day.
You're saying as existing as a black man in a racist society. I mean, basically a society based on white supremacy.
We're from this, and it's been going on. I don't think it's ever stopped. I think it's actually increased because people are making more money. Our society is changing, and the folks that you run into are very intellectual. They're intellectual people, and they seem to be sexually broken.
Do the white folks who do this, and I know you can't answer for everybody, do they know they're being racist, kind of? I mean, like, do they know it, or?
It's part of it, absolutely. I get to call them what I want. I get to call them anything that I want.
What do you mean? Like,
I can call them anything I want, from cracker to any racist name that I see fit. I can call them those names, so.
And are they allowed to abuse you?
Oh, no. So that means somebody gets punished. Okay?
Oh.
That's what
they
that
very
means.
much know this is like racist.
Yes.
Or it has a component of, I mean, clearly a lot of the professionals in academia aren't even, this is a very psychological, sociological.
Well, the slave master of their day were the academics doing this.
Yep.
They were the educated ones.
Yep.
They were the ones that were busting black men in the Bahamas and raping them, sexually assaulting them. They were the ones. Those are the intellectuals. The intellectuals are still here. Okay, they're still here.
So you think they're kind of like acting it out in?
Well, they either want to be the master or they want to be the submissive. Most of the time, the submissive. There's something missing there. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, because I don't relate to that personally, the submissive thing. But they're actually getting something from it, or are they just being nice to their wife? Who
absolutely they get something from it. Well, the wife might need it, and if they are that loyal to where they would be tied up, duct taped, and gagged for the wife, that's amazing. I mean, wow, what a husband. But I think they're amazing anyway for doing what they do. It's out of control, Well, I won't say it's out of control. It's very controlled.
It's controlled, but it's in your mind, like.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. See, you don't get why they do it, or.
Well, I'm not a shrink or a counselor, but I think they get the true satisfaction. There's something that they get that is so amazing that they keep coming back for. So it becomes an addiction for some people. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And sex is addicting.
Because I know with some of the fetishes that people know about that are racial fetishes are people who, basically the definition I read earlier, people who basically prefer a certain race because it's exotic, it's kind of other them. And, a lot of that is subconscious, conscious at some level, or some people are just proud of it. Like you mentioned the Kardashians. It's kind of like, it's a very strange dynamic, this whole topic.
Well, I mean, all the most biggest female artists sing black records, to white people. I mean, Eminem, these white people
culturally appropriate stuff. Is that kind of
and they win the awards for these things. When they had no ingredients in the suit. Right. They added nothing to the suit. They just sang like we did. So these are the fetishes that we see daily. and the lips, and now all of a sudden a big butt is fashionable. There was a time where white women were flat in front and flat in the back. Flat, So now they are voluptuous. That's the words that they're using. But I want to go back to The Bachelor. You will not see a black man on that show. There will never be a black bachelor, because that means he would have white women.
Say it once more.
Okay. That means he would have white women as a selection for marriage. You see?
Oh.
So I mean, this is done by the white men.
Say it like it is. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
These things are all orchestrated by white men. We think it's the wife, and it's the husband. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, he has to approve most of the time.
Well, I figure that's
right. Really... For the black male to come in and say, okay, I'll take this.
I'm going to come and have sex with your wife in front of you. Yeah. I'm sure that they would have to approve. I mean,
right. So they love the slave auction stuff, the women, but again, no black men. This is deliberate. Okay. I think I'm going off a little bit, but.
No, I mean, this is your opinion. There's no set, thing for the way it is. I want to know what you think. I'm interviewing you, so you can go off all you want.
Right. So the point I was making, who is truly desired? The one who's truly desired sexually is not on the show, But I could go to a back room and tie up, duct tape, do what I want, behind closed doors, but never in public.
Is it a little bit kind of, I don't know, I was like, strange or racist, or that it seems to me, and I could be wrong, is that these people who want to participate in this are doing so for their pleasure, but not for a marriage, somebody for marriage, but for someone for like the exotic fantasy of it. Is that right? Or
yes.
I mean, that's an insult, though. What a freaking insult! I mean,
it's an insult. Absolutely.
Would you?
That's all about.
Would you participate in something like that? I mean,
that's all about insulting and humiliating. Mm-hmm.
You or?
Well, I have my own demons, but.
So you're saying in general, generally fetishizing somebody.
Right. I don't mind dominating.
They want to date you, but they're certainly not thinking of you as.
Right. Absolutely not.
They're not thinking of you as a whole person. They're overemphasizing your
right
for some bizarre reason.
Well, it's not for just anything. It's for the penis. It's for stamina. It's for the strength that black men show.
Because of the stereotype?
Right. This comes from them. This is their words. Okay? You're here for the strength, your stamina, your penis size. You're here for that.
What if you're a guy who doesn't have, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, what if you're just like average? Like, there's nothing wrong with being.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what average is. I don't really measure it.
Perpetuating a stereotype that many scientists say is really not true, yet people in the real world say I'm sorry, every guy I've ever talked to says it's true. It's like, I've never met one that's, so I don't really get it, but it's.
Well, if black males are preferred, that means it's true. Okay. I mean, we can keep saying it's not true all day long, but.
I don't know.
The facts come from white men, so I don't buy it. All right. Okay. I mean, when women in Europe take a vacation, they go to Africa.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
They go to Africa. Right. There's a reason for that, and then so that's where the sex tourism is.
Sex tourism. Wow.
Sex tourism, and it's men, and mostly Maasai.
So are you private with this because it's just a private issue, or because you think that people will be like, what are you doing, perpetuating this and being, like, is it all the above, or is it just?
Well, it depends on the generation, and it depends on the people.
Because as a white person, I don't get to say what a black person does with their body. How, where, when, what. That's not my place. Sure. It's literally obnoxiously not my place.
Right. But it's a sticky subject, okay? And people don't want to be involved in anything.
No comments.
Black people don't want to be involved in sex. We don't do that, okay? But we do that.
Explain that again. Wait, teach me.
Black people will pretend that they're not involved in it, that we don't do that, but we do that, okay? Remember, we're a country that has the highest birth rate in the free world, but we don't do that. All right. We're not doing that, but yet we are doing that.
And that is what?
Right, sex.
Well, Americans are very, very private.
In all sorts of sex.
Is it affecting the overall culture, having nothing to do with racism in general, but we're just very, sex? Oh my God, I would never. That kind of thing?
Well, you said something in the beginning that it might be it's I don't know, the word was flattering or, a compliment.
People, they think it comes across as, well, that's not a compliment, right? Like it's a racist compliment, I think, but.
Yeah, they're not compliments. So, but, it's actually not a compliment. It's just something.
Objectifying you.
Yeah, and it's something that I get gratification from as well. So I'm not going to say that I'm doing all of this because it makes me angry, because it's just not the case.
Oh, that's honest. That's very honest.
It's not the case.
So what are you getting out of it?
It feels like revenge. That's what I feel. And I don't feel that I'm a revengeful person, but at that time I feel as though that I am revengeful. And so if I have to get back into that game, then I would make sure that I have the entire speech of Martin Luther King, I Had a Dream.
And I'm not trying to laugh at you, so.
Someone will be reading that, okay, while the play is going on.
So they very much know this is a racist thing they're doing.
Yes.
This is not like, what? I just want to have my wife.
Right, it's been an hour too.
Okay. Well, I gotta let you get going. Can I ask you one more question?
One more. Go ahead.
Is it okay? Is there some sort of, there's like a whole industry. This is one of the most popular forms of I've heard it's the most popular form, according to some people who've just informed me. It's the most popular form of pornography.
Well, the weirdest thing what I can share with you is a lot of middle-aged women are asking for that, single and married. Yeah, and if they don't ask for that, they want me to tell them a story about that. They want to hear it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Maybe is that you think that a lot of people are in total denial and that this is their like racist.
Yes, because these are the people that These are the people that are in your schools. These are the people. These are police. These are people. Okay. Well, these are regular people.
Richard, I cannot thank you enough for your honesty. I mean, this isn't a like all the way one thing, all the way another. I'm asking you hard questions because I think people watching don't want maybe they don't want to like be involved in this or they're I don't know what. And
this is David again.
Hello.
Okay, so Richard. Richard. So when black men go to these like swinger parties or have a client who you may dance with them and the husband, as you say, is in charge of everything where what will be done as discussed before. Is there some payment involved or is it just for fun on their part or, do they use the N-word, for example, when, he's sitting all across the room, jerking his shit and, she's there getting pounded and then she's saying, oh, give me that end dick, I mean, how does it feel participating in that? I'm not trying to be insulting, but, it's just out of curiosity.
Wait, Dave, let me ask you a question. Wait, hang on one second. I can't hear you. Richard, can you say something? Say hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Your voice went down. Just hang on one second because I cannot hear you. But are you asking, like, how the husband calls him The N-word?
No, not him, but the wife who getting pounded while he's across the room jerking off. It, doesn't it feel weird?
Yeah. Okay. So is it like kind of like a strange thing? That's what he's asking. Okay. And I might have to hang up to get his voice to be heard because for some reason we're losing him.
Yeah.
Okay, but I will.
Okay,
So he wants to know, don't you feel a little goofy? I guess is what he's asking.
Right.
Or,
Well, I'm gonna try not to be explicit because I didn't want to get into
he
that.
was. I
right.
was like, okay.
And that's fine.
Hey.
But he wanted to know about the N-word, and I allowed that. Okay, I allow that.
You what?
I allow them use the wife to use the N-word. That's fine.
Oh, you allow them to?
Yes, the wife. Only the wife.
Oh.
Only the wife.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. That's your personal like preference.
That's how it works.
Okay.
She can say it. Okay.
How come she gets preferential treatment with being able to be a racist?
All right, I'll have to get explicit. So when she's having an orgasm, she can say it. Okay? Right.
And it doesn't bother you to be with people who are...
No, I find it totally erotic.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
Because, like, that's a pretty racist thing, too.
It's pretty racist, but...
Like...
It's part of it. Okay. So, because it's a racist event.
You already know it's a...
Right. It's a racist event. All right? Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Interesting. Richard, I cannot thank you enough for telling us about this. So this is kind of a part of life that, as far as I know, little do I know, most white folks really are not privy to understanding. People say, "Oh, there's no racism," and it's like, are you kidding me? It permeates every single solitary thing in our culture. So wake the hell up. Right. But this is a topic that we got really deep into. This is a very intense, very purposeful part of racial fetishizing that's extremely kind of openly racist, I guess you could say, right? Openly has
yes.
Is that I don't want to put words in your mouth. Whereas a lot of folks, when I was reading, they weren't talking about this. They were talking all about. Just I'm not racist. I just prefer a certain race. Well, it's all based on stereotypes, is what the academics are saying. And so you might not think you are, but I mean, what white person? Oh, yes, I'm racist. Raise your hand. No one raises their hand. But then when Jane Elliott says, "Hey, how would you like to be treated the way we treat black people in America?" everyone's like, So I guess we know a little more about it than we are letting on to. But I know you need to run. Thank you for your candidness. This is definitely the first time I've ever done a show like this. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Tomorrow, I am going to be back to the regularly scheduled program. Each Tuesday, I'm going to try to do an interview on or off camera. It does not matter, with a very specific topic for 1 hour. And on Wednesdays, it'll be real talk with Angry Soccer Mom as usual. Call-ins and messaging are full game. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I'm interested to see if people will comment. No one's commented. I'm absolutely blown away. But because I don't think I'm that open, but whatever. I'm certainly not an expert. Like I'm not even a novice. I know nothing. And that's why I wanted to bring you on today, to open up.
No, you did fine. You did fine.
People to the world of, I can only say what I've read. I know nothing about it, but thank you.
It'll grow. You'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Right.
All right. And I will call you in online and thank you again. Thanks for being here.
Okay.
All right. Bye. And thank you everybody for who are watching. And just another part of our racist world. I hate to say it. Some people will claim it's not racist. Some people, I mean, it's all over the place. But this is kind of what we got. So if you are interested in this, talking about racism, bigotry, and inequality and corruption in America and keeping it really real, please consider subscribing to my channel. And I want to know what you think. That's why I'm doing this. And thanks for being here. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow at 9 Eastern. And the topics for tomorrow are anything you feel is important and newsworthy about racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption. We'll definitely be talking about what's going on with people with the coronavirus and our darling racist president who's off his effing rocker. And if you want to see some of my videos, jump on. I have rants. I have educational, very nice, sweet, really calm, nice stuff. I'd appreciate your support if you think that it's important for white America to start learning about our racial history. And I mean all of it, not just the pretty, whatever, but the ugly, 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 which is actually, you can say, oh, we all get along. No, we don't. No. And we don't learn our racial history in school. We get whitewash history. So if you're interested in the truth and you're a white person, check out my stuff. It'll be real. Real isn't always beautiful. But, all right. Good night, everybody. I can't believe nobody commented. Oh, my God. Am I in trouble? Maybe. I get the feeling I'm going to find out. All right. Thanks for watching. Now, if only I knew how to end this. You'd think I've never done this before. This will do it.